Released in 1980, Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 was a groundbreaking adaptation of the arcade classic, bringing one of the most iconic video games into the living room. While the arcade version had already captured the imagination of gamers, the Atari 2600's version offered an opportunity for players to experience the thrill of defending Earth from an alien invasion from the comfort of their homes. The result is a simplified yet highly addictive rendition of the original, packed with charm, challenge, and nostalgia. The core gameplay of Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 remains largely faithful to the original arcade version. The player controls a laser cannon, which can move left and right along the bottom of the screen, with the primary objective being to shoot down waves of descending alien invaders. These invaders march steadily toward the bottom of the screen, and the player must destroy them before they reach the cannon. Between the cannon and the alien horde are a series of barriers that provide some protection, which can be chipped away by enemy fire or the player's own shots. The game begins with a single row of aliens, but as the player clears waves, the invaders get progressively faster, intensifying the challenge. There are also several variations of alien types, each worth different amounts of points, adding a layer of strategy to which invaders the player should focus on. A key component of the gameplay is the use of barriers. These barriers absorb incoming enemy fire, which can be used to strategically hide from attacks. However, they are destructible, and over time they erode, leaving the player more exposed. Managing the barrier's durability while dealing with faster, more aggressive aliens becomes a delicate balancing act. What stands out in Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 is how quickly the action escalates. While the initial stages are relatively calm, the game ramps up the difficulty by speeding up the invaders as you clear each wave. This gives the game a sense of urgency and keeps the player on their toes, even though the mechanics themselves are simple. The game's pacing, combined with its ever-increasing difficulty, makes it incredibly engaging. Even when you think you've mastered it, a faster, more aggressive alien wave challenges your reflexes and strategic thinking. Given the hardware limitations of the Atari 2600, the graphics in Space Invaders are basic but highly effective. The aliens, though blocky, are instantly recognizable, and their formation shifts as they march across the screen, adding a level of immersion. The laser cannon is easily identifiable, and the alien ships fire projectiles that are visually distinct. Although the colors are limited, the simple design allows for an effective representation of the alien invasion scenario. The sound design is another strong point of the game. The repetitive, rhythmic firing noises and the distinct sound of a shot hitting an alien give Space Invaders an almost hypnotic quality. The most memorable sound, however, is the iconic Invader sound, a tense, electronic beeping that speeds up as the aliens move closer to Earth. It adds a sense of urgency, letting the player know that the stakes are rising. The sound effects, while basic, complement the gameplay and elevate the overall experience. One of the key strengths of Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 is its replayability. The simple gameplay loop of shooting down aliens, avoiding enemy fire, and managing the barriers becomes addictive very quickly. The escalating difficulty ensures that the game remains challenging, even after hours of play. Each time you defeat a wave, the game starts over with faster and more challenging enemies, ensuring you're always striving for a higher score. For a home console game of its time, Space Invaders also introduced the concept of high scores, allowing players to compare their achievements with friends or family, adding a layer of competition. The lack of an end screen or final goal means that the game can be played indefinitely, making it perfect for quick sessions or longer marathons. Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 is a timeless classic that successfully captures the essence of the arcade experience. While its graphics and sound are rudimentary by today's standards, the core gameplay is just as engaging now as it was in 1980. The sense of tension that builds as the aliens get faster, the challenge of managing your barriers, and the simple yet satisfying mechanics make it a game that remains fun to pick up and play, even decades later. If you're looking for an early example of addictive, arcade-style gameplay that defined a generation, Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 is a must-play.